Hey, it's Darren and Ms. here, and we're back. We wanted to talk a little bit more about education with you and your family. And every year, we pray about where we're going to send our kids to school. And it's because we know that God has great plans for our kids, and we just really feel like we want to know His heart for them and where the best place is. And it's not just an automatic thing for us. We really do consider and weigh out all the different options that we have. So regardless of what we're going to say, it's important for you to take the time to pray and understand what is God's plan for your kids and where your kids need to go to school.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is that there's lots of options these days, right? You can homeschool, which we've done homeschool. You can do public school, private school. So no matter what level, there's different options. But like Mizpah said, it's super important to make sure, and I'm sure that you do, but if you don't, pray with your family. If you're deciding about one of your kids, loop your kid in with that conversation, talk about that, and pray together. And we just went through this process with our oldest, who's going to go in high school next year. So it's something that's super important to do. But there are some other factors that we think about and we ask ourselves in this process that we want to share with you today.
Yes.
So when thinking about furthering your kids' education, we think about who in addition to what. And so let me explain what I mean by that. So many times knowledge is everywhere, okay? So, we got the internet, right? You can look up anything on the internet right now and find out an answer. Knowledge is everywhere, but wisdom is not. And so for us, we want to put our kids in a place where someone is going to rub off on them. They're going to get the normal math and ELA and all the subjects. Those are important. Make sure you research that. All that. It's super important. But what also is important is who they are going to learn from. That's super. A lot of times even when we're looking at colleges, we look at the program and I want to have a degree in this, but we don't often look at the people and learn about the people that are actually teaching those programs. It's a bit of a mindset shift, but we think parents are just as interested in character and wisdom as they are in knowledge, right? But again, knowledge is everywhere. I recently read this article that Christopher Perrin wrote, and talking about the meaning of college, and I absolutely love this. And college comes from the Latin word collerge, and I don't know if I butchered that name or not, but listen, I'm not a Latin specialist. But it means to gather, to collect, to assemble, to bring together. And that word is formed by combining the preposition cum, which means with, and ligare, which means to tie, to bind together. So we get the word ligament from ligare, right? So it means to bind together. And I love this. Wycliffe's definition in 1380, right? Long time ago. But his definition of college was the relationship between Jesus and his disciples. It was he called that a college. And so that kind of flips the way we think about education a bit, because it was this relationship where, there was knowledge that was learned, but also there was wisdom. And there was a rubbing off. And so that's super important to think about as you send your kids to school. So think about that education. It is discipleship. Who are your kids going to learn from? It's not just the what. The what's important. Absolutely, but it's also the who, and we can't leave the who. Can't leave the who out. Is that a song? I don't know if that's a song. We can't leave the who out. So, our kids they're in school, 35 hours a week. Okay, if you're typically right. So that is 6,300 hours for a whole school year. So who do you want discipling your kids for those 6,300 hours? Now listen, they don't have to be perfect. We're not asking for, there's not perfect teachers, there's not perfect administrators and so forth, right? But it's something that you really need to ask, yourselves. So do your homework, meet staff, meet the teachers, meet people, understand the vision of the school and the mission, why it was started. All those things are really, really important. Does the school's value line up with yours? Right? Are there solid, and this is a big one for us, are there solid fathers and mothers, right? I know a lot of times there's a lot of like mothers in a school, but what about the fathers?
Yeah.
That's equally as important.
Yeah.
That's one question we ask for our son is like, okay, are there strong men in this school?
Yeah.
Men that he can look up to, men that he can learn from, men that are gonna push him. That is really important.
So just to recap a little bit of what we've been talking about, education is discipleship, and we feel so strongly that discipleship is a powerful thing in the lives of our kids and in our lives. It's not just our kids. So when you're thinking about where your kids are going to spend all their time in school, think about this thought: I'm sending my kid to your school to study under this person because of this, because you see this thing in them. And it might not always work out that they're going to be discipled by somebody in a school setting, but really think about that in all aspects of your child's life. And you know what? Raising kids can be messy. And I had amazing parents, but you know what also I had mentors throughout my whole life. In every season of my life, I remember a strong mentor in my life, and that discipled me, that spoke into my life, and really changed the trajectory of my life. I could have gone one way, but these people spoke into me and pulled me, kept pointing me towards Jesus and towards walking with the Lord. And so you need help. We need help as parents to have other people that are also reinforcing the things that we want our kids to learn. And so that's why it's so important to think about that in every kind of schooling that you're going to consider for your children. So again, it's messy. Kids will mess up, right? And every day we see that as parents. And we want to be the ones that help them through that. But if they're at school, we want somebody that can help them through that as well.
Yeah. Who's gonna walk with our kids through their messes, and still love them, still encourage them, push them, those things.
Yeah.
So, consider that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching. Hope that encourages you. Hopes it helps you as you make really big decisions about education. We'll see you in the next video.